This shiur is the schus from Meir ben Bluma, Shliach Skidanizel for Shlema. So ich schaue heute ist noch. As I was preparing this, there was a phone call of another family that child needs a for Shlema. There's no name, so Tinek ben, I don't even know the man's name. So for Shlema says that we're doing Navelus, right? It says that when there's an Navelus in the family, then it's, the family is Tzablachen. And then I forgot the Lashon Noilad ben Zachan. If a baby boy is born, we're bringing more Gemaras. Noilad ben Zachan, it's Rapakal and Mishpacha, the whole entire family is healed. So here's a boy. I don't know what the Eibishter had in mind with this Noilad ben Zachan business, but with how is that the fool of the entire Mishpacha, I don't know. But whatever the Eibishter had in mind, which is obviously the boss, and if he gives someone a challenge to deal with, that we just hope and pray that the Eibishter does what it says, that the Fum Gam Shichna, that that you, according to the camel strength, you put on a weight, and in a Kodesh Baruch Hu Batuna, but so they're going to come with Tunya. No one knows what Tunya means, but it means something. And as the Shliach told me, the father of Meir once told me that he doesn't know what Tunya means, but I think he was pretty damn close to it. So the Eibishter should give him the koichas to whatever he's dealing with, whatever they're dealing with, and we should only have good news to share. Zak di Gemara Daf Chaf Aleph Moed Aleph Tana Rabbanon. That's what we're holding. Tana Rabbanon on top. Ve'elu dvarim she'ovel asa b'hem. Okay, we went through all different type of things, and here we're going to do like a kind of a summary, and they're going to break down a few things that the oval is not allowed to do, and the Meforshim explained right away even before we start. It's not mentioning everything that the oval is not allowed to do. The Chaf Aleph Moed Aleph here. It's not mentioning everything. It's not mentioning that the fact that the oval in the first day is not allowed to put on tefillin. Doesn't mention other facts as well. It's
That's
because
more like an oinen as opposed
correct.
to...
But you'll see the Gemara later on. The Gemara discusses that you're not supposed to put on tefillin according to some shittas with the first 3 days or first 2 days. But basically, I have another Gemara. Here it's talking about the things that are actually lasting the entire 7 day of Shiva, and not only like 1 or 2 or 3 days. So it's only mentioning those things. These are the things that the Avel is not allowed to do. Also, Malacha is not allowed to do any work, any job. He's not allowed to wash. And it's machlokes whether it's if it's cold water, it's the whole body. You can, but the basic idea is not allowed to wash. And we discussed already with the Rabbanim Haintegatek. They say don't ask any questions, just do. Ubesicha is smearing, is putting oils and ointments. Ubetashma shamita, ubenilas a sandal and putting on shoes, tying shoes. V'asalikas b'Torah and allowed to learn Torah. Ubenevim v'ksuvim, uleshanois and to learn Mishnah, ubemedrash, ubehalachos, ubehashas, ubehagodes, and all these different things you're not supposed to learn. But if it's someone very important that many, the multitudes need him because he's a teacher, he's a rebbe that teaches the rabbim, then he doesn't hold back from teaching. But as we'll see soon, there will be a certain limitations to his teaching. There's a story that the son of Rabbi Yossi passed away, Rabbi Yossi of Tzipori, and he walked into the Besmedrash during Shiva, and he was teaching the entire day. He was teaching to his Talmidim. Why? Because the Talmidim needed him. And the same thing also, Rabbi Baba Chana, Isla Milsa, something happened to him. The mother doesn't want to mention what, but obviously we were talking about someone passed away in his family, someone that he had to sit Shiva on. Sava, so he was thinking, the loy he shouldn't go out to teach his pedagog, to teach his portion that he's supposed to teach to Talmidim. Rab Chanina gesagt, we learned, if many need you, you don't hold back. Sava, okay, so he's going to go out to teach, but Sava, usually in the back in those days, the way a teacher taught, he had many Talmidim, and the way he taught, he had like a megaphone. Who was the megaphone? The megaphone was a Meturgamon, someone that would listen to what the teacher taught, and he gave it over to the entire crowd. Sometimes he added his own, not his own Perushim, but explained it in different languages. We have Meturgamon and Torah. But this is what they used to do. So the teacher used to teach, and someone used to give it over to the masses. So he thought, he thought, okay, fine. If I could teach, let me do the regular way. Let me teach in a way with having my megaphone, my guy that's going to speak to the crowd. Omali Rav, what Rav gesagt, Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, the Taka you can teach because people need you, but you cannot have a regular Meturgamon, a regular guy that's going to repeat it. Ve'ela, Turgman is an interpreter, but basically he's interpreting and he's repeating the words to the crowd. How should he do it? Tanya is going to do like we learned in the Braisa, the son of Yehuda passed away. The Chanani ben Akavia came after Rabbi Yehuda ben Loi, and also said, "V'yashav b'tzid," and he sat beside Rabbi Yehuda ben Loi. V'lo chashul Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia. Rabbi Yehuda ben Loi whispered to Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia the teaching that he wanted to teach that day, and Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia, he in turn gave it over to Turgamon, to the translator, to the interpreter. But Turgamon is Rabim. So basically, you can't do it the regular way where you have the teacher teaches and the Turgamon listens and repeats it. You have to have a guy in the middle, and it is because to show that there is a difference. There's a little bit different. So here we learned these are the things that you're not allowed to do, and now we're going to see that there's a difference between the first 3 days, or some say the 2 days, the first day. So we're going to see. Tana Rabbanan. Avel Gimel Yom Rashonim, the first 3 days, also le'aniach tefillin, is not allowed to put on tefillin. Mishlishi ve'ela, from the third day and on. Ve'shlishi bechal, the third day is included. Mut le'aniach tefillin, you have to put on tefillin. So basically, what's the 3 days? 2 days, the first day of the Kula. The second day that you basically is already the second day of Shiva. And the third day, a little bit of the third day you cannot put on tefillin. And mixes the yom is considered kekula, and therefore the rest of the third day you can start putting on tefillin. This is according to this Tana. Ve'im, now we have a thing like this. If the halacha in those days was that the first 3 days you're not allowed to put on tefillin, so if someone walks into town and he just finds out that this guy is sitting shiva, and he walks into his house to be menachem ovel and he sees him putting on tefillin, he's going to think he's going against the halacha because maybe he just sat on a shiva. I don't know what day the shiva started. If there's a panim chadashes showed up in town, it's the one time we're not looking for panim chadashes. So Abelaz says he doesn't have to take off his tefillin to explain. Someone is coming. I have to take off my tefillin because otherwise the guy is going to think. No, why? Because Meforshim explained very simple. Let him go and ask. Let him go. He's putting on tefillin. He comes out. Oh, it's the third day already. It's a simple solution. Just find out. It's not going to look like the Avla is doing an avela. It's going against halacha. That's Abelaz.
Why should you put on tefillin?
Huh?
What's the problem with putting on tefillin?
He says here, according to this Tana, the first 3 days. Why? Because it says Vayitmu, which means tefillin. It's the first 3 days they didn't put on tefillin to show true avelos. It's tefillin. That's those days. We don't do it. I think anymore. To show true avelos, he couldn't do those mitzvahs. That's the Rebbe Shua sagt, Avil base, no, not 3 days, 2 days. Avil base, only the first 2 days. Misheni, Vesheni Bechlal, from the second day, and includes the second day as well, which means basically only 1 day you can't put on tefillin, and a little bit of the second day you can't put on tefillin, but the middle of the second day, weiter, mutter tefillin, you have to put on tefillin. And again, if someone shows up in town the second day and he's putting on tefillin, do I now have to worry about what's the guy going to think? I'm sure, yes. You have to take off tefillin. So one side we have that you can't put on tefillin for 3 days, and if someone shows up after the third day, you don't have to take off his tefillin. Rabbi Shua says you can't put on tefillin the first day, but the second day you couldn't put on tefillin. And from then on, if the guy shows up, you have to worry about it. What's the guy? If the guy's going to think that you're putting on tefillin during Shiva, the beginning of Shiva. Amadav, Masna gesagt. My time is Abelazar. What's the reasoning of the Abelazar that says 2 days? That 2 days basically you have to do full avelos, and only the beginning of the third day you can go and put on tefillin. The Chsiv says in Pasuk, Vayitmu yemei b'chi evel Moshe, that the days of the crying of Moshe. This is in Yeshua. The days of the crying after Moshe. Torah. The days of crying after Moshe were finished. Yemei is days. The minimal amount of days is 2. So that's from them that they cried for at least 2 days. So we see that a velos is 2 days, and therefore those 2 days, when you have a velos, you cannot put on film. Once I mention. What's the reason of Shiur? It says only 1 day, and the second day you couldn't put on film. It says by Amos, it says speaking about causing a shiva of someone. What's the pasuk say? The pasuk we used already a few times that this is how we turn over. Shiva is 7 days because I'm turning over Yontif to Evel, and the pasuk is speaking and after the person passes away, there's going to be 1 day that's bitter. 1 day. So Chalisa, after a person passes away, there's only 1 day that's bitter. So he says only 1 day you can't put on film. Obviously, the Gemara is going to ask now if we have a pasuk azoy and pasuk azoy, why does this day say? Why does Rabbi Lazar go according to the pasuk says 2 days, and why does Rabbi Shua go according to the pasuk says 1 day? Why can't they agree to the other psukim? And basically, what issue did each one have with the other pasuk? So the Gemara. Rabbi Yeshua also he has the pasuk that there were 2 days of bechiyah, of crying for Moshe. What is he going to do with that? Amalach. Rabbi Yeshua would have told you, shining Moshe. Moshe is very different. The Takif Avle. Moshe was a leader, was a Nasi Adoid. When the Nasi Adoid passed away, the leader of the generation passed away. Yes, the Velos is so strong. The Takif by Moshe Rabbeinu didn't put on film for 2 days. They can't do anything for 2 days. But for a regular person, 1 day is enough. Abelazar, so if that's very good. So Abelazar, why does Abelazar not say only 1 day? There's only 1 day that's very bitter. So the Gemara, Abelazar agrees. Abelazar says that Moshe is no difference. He's a leader talk of the generation, but the bitterness of losing a loved one is the same. And therefore, yes, 2 days is the time when you cry. So what does it say in Amos that there's 1 day that's very bitter? So Zakta, the main bitterness of losing a loved one is 1 day. The strong bitterness is 1 day, and the rest is already taka not as strong. However, you still can't put on film. So Rabbi Lazar uses the pasuk of Yeshua not to teach us about film, but to teach us that the first day that is the most difficult day of someone that loses a loved one. Zag the Gemara, what's la halacha? Amar Ula gesagt halacha ke Rabbi Lazar b'chalitza. The halacha is going to be like Rabbi Lazar b'chalitza, that after the 3rd day, if a person shows up and doesn't know which day of Shiva you're holding, you don't have to take off its film. When can you start putting on tefillin? The 2nd day, a little bit into the 2nd day. So now we know that the 1st day, everyone agrees you don't put on tefillin. That's the oin in the status, right? The 2nd day, we put on tefillin because Allah is Rabbi Yeshua. The 3rd day, if someone shows up, you don't have to take off the tefillin. The question really remains, what's with the 2nd day? What if someone shows up while you're putting on tefillin the 2nd day? Do you have to take off the tefillin? If someone new shows up, do you have to take off the tefillin or not? So the Gemara boilu. Bashain.
Oinen Taka doesn't put on film, full stop?
Oinen doesn't put on film until, I think, after the Kvura, right? And after the Kvura. Should never know about these things. Right. It doesn't do any mitzvahs. I think you're not even making bedachas or something, right? No, nothing. We should never know these things. This we're learning now to be yotzeh forever. We don't know. So we said, the halacha is like a blaza that you can, if someone shows up in your house and it doesn't know that you're sitting shiva ready for the 3rd day, you don't have to take off your tefillin, but that's the 3rd day. You know already the halacha is that you can put on tefillin starting from the middle of the 2nd day. What happens now if in the afternoon of the 2nd day you're wearing tefillin and someone shows up? Where does that go to? Iboilu b'sheni on the 2nd le'ula that paskin that we go according to Rabbi Yeshua and he say that you can put on tefillin already. Do you have to take off the tefillin or not? Tashma, come in here. A very simple answer. Same ula that said this halacha. Ama ula lul gezak. Choyletz umaniach afila mea pam. You take on and off and on and off the 2nd day, even 100 times. Put on the tefillin. You see someone coming, take it off, put it back on, until you get your davening done. That's what Ula says. Tani na mahache, Yehuda ben Tema Oimel, Choyle tzamaniach filim epam. You take off, put on, take off 100 times. Rava disagrees with Ula. Rava was one generation after Ula, and the Ula was in the second and third generation of Hamadayim. Rava was the fourth generation of Hamadayim. And Rava disagrees with him. In the Amma, he says no. Kivin she'niach shuv and choyle. If you put on tefillin once, he doesn't have to take it off. Right? As soon as you we allow you to put on tefillin, that's the moment you don't have to take out tefillin. So according to Ula, first day no tefillin, second day put on tefillin but you take it off, third day you don't have to take it off anymore. According to Rava, first day no tefillin, second day put on tefillin, you don't have to take it off anymore. We had the Rava in a page before. We had the Rava had a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan, and they had a disagreement whether the Mishnah means literally 3 days, that the Avelos. We had this thing. What's why 3 days? So the Rava says literally 3 days is important because the first 3 days is the strongest days of Avelos. So Bazoi, if the Rava says that the 3 days are the strongest days of Avelos, how does he agree with Ula that says 2 days is enough? And then he says that if you take off tefillin, if you put on tefillin, you don't have to take it off. How can he agree? Rava himself has said that the 3 days is minimum. You have to have 3 days of intense avails. How can you go and say that no, you can put on tefillin the second day? According to him, it should have been 3 days, like Rabbi Lazar says. And with the Gemara, he disagrees because it says mitzvah shiny when it comes. All the other things, yes, 3 days is important, and you cannot be mevatel the shiva for yontif unless you have 3 days of intense mourning. But when it comes to mitzvah, we're not going to be mevatel a mitzvah. Kulahai, we're not going to go and push away a mitzvah until 3 days over. Okay, Tan Rabbanan gesagt. We're going to go through a bunch of little halachas here. Ama Ovel Gimel Yom Mashonim Asa Malacha, and Ovel, the first 3 days, he is not to do any work. We just mentioned it before, so now we're going to dissect it a little. Vafilu Oni HaMispanis Ben HaTzedakah, and even an Oni that is Panasa from Tzedakah, he also cannot do any work on Chol HaMoed, in Avelos. So we see that the Ani was goes collecting Tzedakah, it's considered work. Simple right here. We see on. So the guy, the Russian guy that told his friend on the phone that he can't talk because I'm at work, Astaki was right. It's not a joke because Astaki heard it. Okay, Mikan ve'elech, after the third day, Oise betzino, anyone can do betzino quietly, b'sech beis into his house, and we already learned in a few many pages before, that we were talking about some kind of work that if you don't do it, the thing is going to be ruined. You have a major monetary loss. So quietly in your house, betzino, you can do it. You can do this kind of work. And a woman is allowed to spin with her spindle in her house when no one sees. Okay, so we know
3 days.
Yeah. Tana Abanan. Avel Gimel Moshonim and Ahoylech Lebesa Avel. An Avel, the first 3 days, does not go to another Avel's house. Mikan ve'elech, from the third day on, Hoylech, he goes. Ve'eni Yoshev Emokim HaMenachim, he doesn't sit in the place where people are coming to give a Nichum Avelim. Emokim HaMisnachim, he sits in the place of the person that is receiving. So he sits together with someone else that is receiving a Bilchas Avelim. The Tosfos on the page before was discussing, one of the things it was discussing whether when it says that Oval is not allowed to learn Torah, do we consider an Oval the same way like Tisha B'Av? Tisha B'Av is Avelos, the entire Klal Yisrael is an Avelos. However, on Tisha B'Av we say that we can learn things of Avelos. We can learn Iyov, we can learn the Gemara that speaks about the Chulban, we can read Yosifon, certain things we can do. And they're discussing back and forth. Some people said yes, some people said no. If an Oval is considered the same way, that he can learn. Here comes another interesting point about going after 3 days, going to Menachem over someone else and a different Avelos, and the Gemara is going to discuss this. the Rishonim discuss it. So can an Oval go out if someone Chazashon passes away Zayin of? So Zayin Ches Tes. Let's say Vav of comes Tes of. It's after the 3 days. Can that person go to Shul? Why? Because everyone is an Avelos. Everyone is sitting. Everyone is
Same on
technically
Tisha B'Av.
on Tisha B'Av. Everyone is doing the same avails. No, we're not washing. We're not this. We're not showering. We're sitting on a low
Sitting
stool.
amongst them in the room.
Yeah, so
sitting amongst other people who are.
it's not like I'm going and I have to sit like no. Everyone is sitting avails. So they're discussing if an oval can do that. I tried looking up halacha. I didn't have time enough to get to the bottom of it, but I think it seems like that on Tisha B'Av, if he has an oval, especially if it's after 3 days, then you can go out and sit within a veil, but I'll double check and we'll get back to you guys. Circle back, as I say. Okay. Starting by Tana Bonan. Ovel Gimel Yom Hashanim Asa B'Shila Shalom. An oval the first 3 days is not allowed to not only say hi to someone, how are you doing, but also not answer if someone talks to you and asks you how you are doing. So Asher B'Shila Shalom, not asking, not answering. Mishloishev at Shiva, from the 3rd day on till the end of the Shiva, Meishiv ve'ena shoyli. If someone asks him, so you can answer, how you're doing. You can answer b'shila shalom. Shalom was really like shalom alecha, or what's it called? So you can answer shalom, but you cannot ask someone how he's doing. You cannot initiate that conversation. After the shiva and on, you can greet people in a regular way and get answers in a regular way. We just mentioned the first 2 days you're not to ask even or even answer. There was a story that the sons of Rabbi Akiva passed away. Similarly, Rabbi Akiva went through a lot of tzaras in his life, culminating with the fact that he was killed with those combs, with Maseka Shabaza, with the combs of iron. But he had many Talmidim and they passed away. He had a few sons, at least 2, but mentioning about it here, and these 2 sons passed away. He had a daughter that almost got killed on the day of a chuppah. Famous story that she gave the food to an ani, and she stuck the needle in the thing, and then she killed the snake. So we don't know. I mean, looked it up. It's not much about the children of Rabbi Akiva. Some people say that Rabbi Shua ben Kalcha was one of his kids, and he was called Kalcha because Rabbi Akiva did not have hair on his head. That's what it says. But some people disagree. In any case, we don't know much about his kids, but this is one of the places that speaks about his kids. And what does it say? That Maisa Ban of Rabbi Akiva, his kids of Rabbi Akiva passed away. Nichnasu Kol Yisrael. The entire was a Nasi. He was a Taki. Was a Ben Gedim. He was a son of converts, but he was a big guy. V'nichnasu Kol Yisrael. The entire Jewish nation came and gave him respect. V'yispidum Hesped Gadol, and Rabbi Akiva got up and he gave a Hesped Gadol, a huge Hesped for his 2 kids. And then, as the Klal Yisrael, when the Yidden started leaving, B'shas P'til Asan, Omad Rabbi Akiva stood up, Al Safsel Gadol, on a big chair, Omad, and he said, Achenu b'nei Beis Yisrael, listen, my brothers, the household of Yidden, Shimu Herzachzu, Afilu Shnei Bonim Chasanim, even if these 2 kids, if my pain would have been so great, that these are not Stam 2 kids, but they were already about to get married, Chasanim, and Menucham Hu B'shvil Kvoid Shasisem, I will be consoled because of the cover that you showed me. You're coming to be Menachem Avol. If it's for that, for my sons, then for you, you're coming here is consoling me. But if you didn't come from my kids, but he came because I am Akiva. There are many Akivas in the market, and no one does such a big hesped, and no one does such a big Menucham Avol for him. But I'm not accepting it. Novas. But maybe yes, you come for Akiva. And what are you thinking is, who is Akiva? At least Toilas Elikov Beliboy, the Toida of the Abish is in his heart. And because you coming because of his Toida, and for sure, if that's the case, your sachar, your reward for coming b'menachem avol is doubled. Lechu levatechem, return to your homes l'shalim in peace. That is the best definition, almost one of the best definitions you can say of She'ila Shalom. What is She'ila Shalom? Asking someone, Shalom Ulechel Abin Moedi, Hashalom Lechem, or like what's it called? Boaz what's it called? Greeted his workers in Luz. What did it say? No, I forgot. But he basically what? Yeah. So it's also in Luz. So he greeted them with Hashem's name, but he wears the word Shalom. Here, this is exactly what he tells them. He's standing in the middle of Shiva, at the beginning, and he's telling everyone, go home in peace. This is She'ilah Shalom. What's it called? To someone else. And didn't we just say that the first 3 days you're not allowed to ask or answer? Only the second part you're allowed to you answer if someone is asking you how you're doing. And here he is going ahead and greeting everyone. And so we see that he didn't do what it says in Halacha. And for the Gemara, the covet, the honor of the Rabbim is different. And here he was talking to many people of Beis Yisrael. And here he could have said it. He did say it. Okay, the Gemara continues about the beginning of Zayin, Mei Shiva and Shoil. From the third day until the end of Shiva, you can answer if someone asks you how you're doing, Ve'en Shoil, but you don't initiate the conversation. You don't ask him how he's doing. But from the 7th and on, you can have a regular conversation of asking someone how he's doing, and they can answer, and you can answer, etc. So the Yeshiva asked the question that it's not so. What does it say in this halacha? Someone finds a friend of his that he is an oval and he's still within the shloishim. He was holding within the first 30 days, and he didn't have a chance to give him nichem avelim. Medaber imay tanchumim. You talk to him about nichem avelim. Ve'eina shoyel b'shloimo. You do not ask how he's doing. After 30 days, shoyel b'shloimo. You can ask, but ve'eina dabim tanchumim. The opposite. You don't speak to him about the passing because shloishim passed and he weitergegangen. Mesa ishtoi, if the friend's wife passed away, v'nasa isha acheres, and he went and married another woman, and the Meforshim Tosfos asks already, how can you, even a husband that loses a wife has to, if a husband loses his wife, the avelus is only 30 days, not a full year. A child losing a parent, it's a full year. A husband losing a wife losing a husband, it's only 30 days. So here, we're obviously going to ask the question in a way that it was within the 30 days. And here, this guy went and got remarried. So the Meforshim will give two explanations. Either he has little kids.
Life insurance investigation.
Either he has little kids, and it says if someone has very little kids and it needs someone to take care of his kids, he's allowed to get married within the shloshim. And the continuation of the marriage he can only do after 30 days. But you can get married. You can do the chuppah and kiddushin. You can do within the 30 days. Or it is talking about the second answer they're giving. He doesn't have any kids. If someone doesn't have any kids, he was never mekayim the mitzvahs estimate the raisa of having children, then he's allowed to get married within the shloshim and continue on to try to have kids. So he meets his friend. His wife passed away. And then what happened? V'nasa isha acheres, and he married another woman. He's not allowed to walk into his house, and he's sharing his house now with his new wife, and to be menachem avlim, because it's probably not a covet for a second wife that he's reminding him about his first wife. But if, however, if he meets him in the market, he says quietly, he tells him and then he can tell him nichem avelim. So we see here that even within 30, he said that from the 7th day and on, you can greet people regularly. And this place we see that if he meets his friend, only after 30 days can he start asking him how he's doing and then responding to him. And with the Gemara, who shoyel b'shloim acherim, he can ask. So, who shoyel b'shloim acherim, shacherim shruim b'sholem. After 7 days, the Ovel can ask someone else how he is doing. Who shoyel b'shloim acherim is asking the other guy how he's doing. Why? Because acherim, the other people, shruim b'sholem, they are actually peaceful. They have nothing. They're everything is good. Acherim, however, other people ein shoyalin b'shloimo, cannot ask him even in the 30 days. Why? Because within the 30 days, shehu ein shoyal b'sholom, because he's still not at peace. He's still in a concept of avelus until the 30 days are over. And basically he's trying to explain that the one place that it says that from 3 to 7 you can answer, but after 7 you can even talk about it. He's saying that is talking about the oval. The oval can say hi to the guy because after the 7 days the other one is at peace. And the Braisa that speaks about when the guy meets his friend, that his friend is an oval. So it says, yeah, you cannot initiate after the shiva. You still cannot initiate the conversation. You still cannot initiate the conversation. Only you have to wait till the other guy asks you. To continue. Was difficult.
Maybe she's a lot of in ganz Klaus.